Hello, my name is Tiffany Klos, and you are watching my Capstone presentation for the Watson College of Education's Masters of Teaching in Elementary Education program at UNC Wilmington. I received my Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from North Carolina Wesleyan College in 2016. After working as a teacher's assistant for one school year, I decided to apply to UNCW's graduate program to achieve my own degree in education with the hopes of becoming a classroom teacher. Over the course of this program, I have learned invaluable information that has served to shape me as an educator. And so we discovered that education is not something which the teacher does, but that it is a natural process which develops spontaneously in the human being. It is not acquired by listening to words, but in virtue of experiences in which the child acts on his environment. The teacher's task is not to talk, but to prepare and arrange a series of motives for cultural activity in a special environment made for the child. Like Maria Montessori, I believe that education should be child-centered. Children are naturally curious, and it is my job as an educator to create an environment to inspire independent learning. The Montessori method claims that by setting up a supportive, thoughtfully prepared environment, the student is capable of initiating their own learning. This approach values the whole child, physical, social, emotional, and cognitive. The Montessori method includes multi-age grouping that fosters peer learning. This creates a close classroom community. I admire and hope to implement many of the fundamentals of the Montessori method of education in my own teaching. I want my children to understand the world, but not just because the world is fascinating and the human mind is curious. I want them to understand it so that they will be positioned to make it a better place. Knowledge is not the same as morality, but we need to understand if we are to avoid past mistakes and move in productive directions. An important part of what understanding is knowing who we are and what we can do. Ultimately, we must synthesize our understandings for ourselves. The performance of understanding that try matters are the ones we carry out as human beings in an imperfect world which we can affect for good or for ill. Howard Gardner introduced the idea of multiple intelligences. According to Gardner, there are 8 intelligences. They are linguistic, logical mathematical, musical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and most recently, naturalist. Depending on a student's strengths, they will learn in different ways. To implement Gardner's theory in the classroom, a teacher needs to respect each student's intelligences and use them to inspire and deepen learning. Anne Guignon writes that with an understanding of Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, teachers, school administrators, and parents can better understand the learners in their midst. They can allow students to safely explore and learn in many ways, and they can help students direct their own learning. Adults can help students understand and appreciate their strengths and identify real-world activities that will stimulate more learning. Education is not an affair of telling and being told, but an active and constructive process. Finally, I believe that learning should be student-centered, and that as an educator, my job is to work to incorporate my students' interests into our curriculum. I believe that I shouldn't force education on my students, but instead should serve as a guide and resource to help to facilitate student learning. Aligning with my progressive and Montessori ideals is my belief that student choice and peer-to-peer collaboration is essential in an effective classroom. Like famous educator and early progressivist Caroline Pratt, I agree that the students learn best through play and that the classroom is a reflection of the community. By connecting classroom curriculum with experiences that students have in their own community, you are able to make education all-encompassing for a child. Several significant events largely impacted my experience in the MIT program at UNCW. First, the curriculum unit that I created with 2 classmates served as an introduction into the program. By creating this curriculum unit, I learned all about project-based learning. I also learned a lot about water pollution and how to incorporate real-world scenarios, like the Gen X epidemic here in Wilmington, to the lessons taught in the classroom. This type of incorporation helps to bring community into the classroom. Ultimately, this was a product that my partners and I worked very hard on, and we were proud of the end result. One of my favorite assignments from the program was the literacy walk that was done for Dr. Fox's class. During this assignment, we chose a focus school and explored the surrounding community searching for literacy resources. This opened my eyes to resources that I would have never originally considered to be educational. I learned that things like traffic signs, coupon books, newspapers, and writing displayed in stores can all be foundations from which a child learns literacy from their community. I was fortunate to be able to spend my first semester observing at Island Montessori in Wilmington, in an upper grades classroom. I really valued the Montessori approach to learning. Although I do believe that a successful Montessori education is dependent on the temperament of the child, there are several themes that I believe would blend well into a traditional classroom setting as well. The idea that a teacher should facilitate student learning, the importance of peer collaboration, and the soothing classroom environment I witnessed in my Montessori experience are all things that I hope to incorporate into my own classroom. The first significant experience I had during my internship placement was at open house. The first night at open house was both intimidating and exciting. I couldn't wait to meet all of my new students. This is my first official introduction as a teacher. I've been very fortunate that my partnership teacher helped me transition from the position of student to teacher. She is a wonderful example of the type of teacher who builds a loving, safe classroom culture while maintaining high expectations for all of her students. She has solidified my belief that students will generally meet the expectations that are set for them. I am grateful to have had her guidance from open house until now. I think we all would agree that the 17 days of school missed because of Hurricane Florence was a significant event during this internship semester. The storm was devastating to so many, and Bradley Creek Elementary was not spared. After the storm, I volunteered to pass out recovery supplies in a low-income area near our school where many of our students live. I was able to see many of my students and see the effect that the storm had on their homes. Although educational instruction was interrupted because of the storm, I feel like the event created a strong bond within the Bradley Creek and Wilmington communities. Watching the students adapt to this momentum event was inspiring. In the future, I hope to be a warm demander by creating a safe, comfortable environment that invites all students the freedom to be themselves while holding them to high but achievable expectations. Ultimately, I want students to leave my classroom with the knowledge required to make positive contributions to their communities and to the world. I truly believe that every child has something to offer and strengths that need to be valued. Finding something to love in each and every child, caring for and about them, is essential so that we teachers can truly see their promise and potential. Thank you for taking the time to watch my capstone presentation.